Yes, sir. You are audible, sir.
Okay.
Sir, as the participants would join at around 10:25, 10:30, sir, we will start, sir.
Okay, I just wanted to test it. So now it's perfect.
Sure, sir. Sure. You want to, sir, check the sharing screen as well?
Let me try. I think it's disabled. You have to allow me to share it.
Just a moment, sir. Just a moment. Yes, sir. I have enabled it, sir.
It's okay?
Yes, sir. It's visible, sir. Perfectly fine, sir.
Okay. I think now we can go with the presentation. It's okay, right?
And good morning, sir. Good to have you, sir.
Morning. Thank you.
Dr. Mohammad Nasir is also, sir, just about to join in 2 minutes only.
Yeah, I was interacting with him on WhatsApp only. So it's okay, right?
Yeah, sir. Yeah, completely fine, sir. Yeah, sir. Slides are also moving perfectly fine. Sure. And visible.
Okay. So I'll join you in 20 minutes. Yeah. I mean, 10, 15 minutes, let's say. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Look forward to that, sir.
Sure.
Galaxy M31. Sir, please identify yourself or rename, your name, your account name. Yesterday, we were struggling to identify and, we could not mark your attendance. Galaxy M31. सर अपना नाम से प्लीज अपना अकाउंट बना लेंगे क्या? हेलो
जी सर.
गैलेक्सी M31 मैं ये बोल रहा था कि आप प्लीज अपना ये गैलेक्सी M31 शो करता है. आपने जिस नाम से रजिस्ट्रेशन
सर मैं डॉक्टर विक्रांत अग्रवाल सर मैं अभी चेंज कर रहा हूँ अपना प्रोफाइल. और
अच्छा डॉक्टर विक्रांत अग्रवाल. अच्छा मॉर्निंग डॉक्टर साहब.
गुड मॉर्निंग सर. मैं अभी चेंज करके सर आपको रिजॉइन कर लूंगा.
श्योर. ओके ऑलराइट. थैंक यू.
ओके सर. ओके.
या
Good morning, sir.
Yeah, good morning, Dr. Saab, Dr. Brijesh Kumar. Welcome. Please give us, around 7-8 minutes. We just set up everything and we will just enable our video and we'll start the session.
तो आवाज आ जाएगी।
Hello.
सर ज्वाइन कर चुके हैं सर?
Already.
Okay, good morning, everyone. I am Dr. Mohammad Nasir, one of the coordinator of 21-day training program. Just to brief you about today's lecture, we have two lectures today. The first lecture will start at 10:30. Is about to start. Is on forest certification challenges and opportunity. It will be delivered by Dr. Shiv S. Panse, Shiv Shankar Panse sir. And the second lecture is having a little change. It will held at 3 p.m. It is on the ethnobotany of Western Ghats with specific reference to Kerala state, India, specific to India. It will be delivered by Dr. K. Radhakrishnan. Our resource person, Dr. S. Panse, has already joined us. So on behalf of the organizing committee and my own behalf, I welcome you, sir, this 21-day training program on forest management for sustainable use of natural resources. There are, just to inform you, sir, there are 34 participants of assistant professor rank or equivalent to that are attending this program from different universities across the India. Let me have this opportunity to introduce you to the participant as well. Dr. Shiv Panse is currently working as a licensing and verification advisor at DAI, Brussels, Liberia. Panse sir has done his graduation in BSc Forestry from JNKV, Jabalpur, MP, and he has done his MSc and PhD both in wood science and technology from FRI, Dehradun. Although he did his PhD, means most of the time what we have, after PhD we think that the government job is the only secured place, or teaching is the only secured job. But he opted to swim against the current and join the private sector. And he proved all of us wrong that government job is not only the secure place. He started his first job as a consultant at National Center for Design and Product Development in 2010. He switched over to as a lead auditor for forest certification in SGS India Private Limited in 2011. And in the same company, he moved to Liberia in 2015. And from 15 to 17, he worked in SSG. After that, he switched again to in 2017, he switched to another company as a chief compliance officer as a consultant in NRDS ICC, Monrovia, Liberia. And from 29 to 2022, he is working as a FLEGT license and verification advisor, DAI, Brussels. I'm using abbreviation for all the companies because it is quite difficult to pronounce. So it is like a tongue twist for me. So maybe Dr. Panse sir will himself elaborate this all the abbreviations. So with this brief introduction, I would like to invite Dr. Panse sir to please start your session. Over to you, sir. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. I hope I'm audible to everyone. And straightforwardly, I'll go to the presentation. Before that, I'd just like to take a minute. What Nasir has introduced me. I mean, he's one of the best juniors we had in our colleges. I mean, the college in FRI Dehradun, we had a very long association with that university afterwards. So, I mean, of course, I opted to go for a different sector, not a different, but I thought marketing would have been a better opportunity in terms of the instead of going for the lab work. So I prefer to go for the field opportunity. I mean, especially in the certification sector, which was my interest since my graduation, or let's say my post graduation. So instead of wasting the time, let me go to the presentation, and then you guys are okay with Hindi and English, so just interrupt me anytime you want to.
Absolutely,
And
sir. Absolutely.
yeah, so I have no worries. I mean, you can ask me the questions in the at the end of the presentation, or in the middle. You can interrupt. That's not a problem. We can have an interactive session also. I mean, it's not very big or long presentation, but I'll just try to make it concise so that we can get it done. So thanks, the organization team. I mean, organizers, the University of Agriculture and Technology, Banda. So I start with this forest certification. That's what are actually the challenges and opportunities for this the sector. The sector is very, very important, as you all know. That certification is merely not a paper, but it is rather more than the paper and the procedures what we talk about. So the scheme of forest certification or the product certification is of three nature. Number one becomes a voluntary, secondary is regulatory, and the third one is bilateral agreement. So voluntary means most of us have already seen, I mean, we are using the laptops, mobiles, the shoes, belts, comb, clothes, everything. They are all branded. So these brands sometimes are regulatory and sometimes are voluntary. Most of the time they are voluntary. Meaning we would like to go for, let's say we want to go for a shoe from a company like Woodland or Bata or Action or Reebok, something like that. We would like to also go for different products. Anything which we would like to use in day-to-day life, they should also be branded. Similarly, forestry or the forest and the forest products are also certified. They're also certified as a brand, because certification is nothing but a marketing tool. But this marketing tool does not mean that it can be attained very easily. It has a lot of criteria and indicators, followed by principles, indicators, and verifiers. So in the first go, you can see on the screen on the left-hand side, there are three sections: voluntary, regulatory, and bilateral. In the voluntary, you have got several certification schemes like FSC, which is the largest shareholder in the entire forest certification market. TEFC, the second largest. SFI is mainly in America, that means the United States. CFV, LEI is in Indonesia. VLO, VLC is also in the southern parts of Asia. Then it comes to regulatory, where there is a need and there is a requirement that has to be fulfilled before any timber can be exported or imported within or outside Europe. That's EUTR. LACI is basically again for United States. SLVK is for Indonesia mainly, and part of Malaysia also. CITES is globally recognized certification scheme. We cannot say it's as a certification, but it's a regulatory scheme because the government signs an agreement with CITES. ILO is International Labour Organization. That is also a regulatory requirement. It does not mean that it has to be certified. MY is a Malaysian Timber Legality Assurance Systems. And recently there has been the initiatives done by Asian initiatives, that means the Asian countries. The third one comes as a bilateral agreement, where a country or a group of countries sign an agreement with a group of countries or the union. So in our case, our meaning the flagged case, VPA is voluntary partnership agreement between European Union and the member country. Let's say the countries of West Africa, South Africa, or other parts of the globe like Indonesia, Malaysia, Laos, Vietnam, and all these, they want to export the timber in European Union. So European Union would like to sign a pact or an agreement with those countries where the raw material is being supplied to European Union. And that's a VPA, voluntary partnership agreement. It's voluntary in nature. It's a participatory approach and an agreement which has to be abide by. Flagged is an outcome of the VPA. I will explain something in the later stages of this presentation. and the Montreal process. So all these three we will be discussing in detail. I'm open for any the caution at the end of the presentation would be better, I think. So what basically the certification criteria is when we talk about challenges or opportunities. So here comes the mix of both, that what should be the criteria. So first that it's an established and recognized procedure that results in a certificate. That's basically a certification. You cannot simply say an organization that is certified or a product is certified without showing them an evidence whether the certification has been completed or the process has completely been followed by different organizations or the agencies, and an output of that entire certification is result in the certificate. It can be a paper certificate as well as an electronic mode. So I mean, that's not a challenge, or that's not really required that it should be on the paper. Confirming the quality of forest management in relation to a set of predetermined standards compatible with internationally recognized principle and criteria and or indicators of SFM, that is sustainable forest management. It means the forest management has to be governed, that completely the quality has to be assured, and this is based on the predetermined standards. That means, let's say we are talking about a harvesting pattern, or we are talking about the percentage of harvesting in a particular forest area. We would like to say that the forest area is terribly depleting due to the overexploitation of a specific species. Then we can say that if a percentage of that particular species is more than 1 or 2% of the forest cover or the forest area, this area cannot be certified or has to be preserved. So those criteria and indicators can play a vital role before issuing a certificate to a company. The certification is a process in which an independent assessment is to be done by the third party, which is basically accredited at national or international level. In case of all the certification schemes like FSC, PEFC or FLEGT, the endorsement has to be done with the help of a third-party assessor, and these third-party assessors are different companies, such as Nasir just informed about when I joined SGS, Bureau Veritas, the BV, and Government of Liberia's SGS Liberia. So in all the three assessments, or in all the three organizations, like in case of SGS and Bureau Veritas, SGS is Société de General Savila, that's from Switzerland. Bureau Veritas is Bureau Veritas, or verification, something like in French for sure. It's based on France. Then the third, SGS Liberia, based in Liberia, and the European Union, where we are actually monitoring through FLEGT license. FLEGT is Forest Law Enforcement, Governance and Trade. So this is a bilateral agreement between the governments. These are actually the nature. When we go deep, if you want to dig deeper into the certification schemes, we'll get to know about the accreditation, the certification bodies, the third-party bodies, the consultants, the auditors, and so forth. All these certification schemes are non-discriminatory, meaning it doesn't make a difference whether the forest is of any type. It can be natural forest, can be artificial forest, can be wetlands, it can be the deciduous, it can be temperate, it can be tropical, subtropical, etc. As well as the forest can be of private owned. So if somebody is owning a forest and it's a private in nature, it doesn't make a difference to us whether the forest is of any time. Transparency is one of the vital characteristics of the certification schemes, because as I informed you in the beginning, that certification is nothing but a marketing tool. So as now the market is moving from the standard point of view or institutional framework point of view, that procedure and the determination or the documentation of the procedure shall be transparent, so that to know whether the organization is procuring the raw material or supplying or using the correct value chain during the process. And hence transparency makes a very, very vital characteristics or scheme criteria. Repeatable means audit is not a one-time activity. It can be repeated several years. It cannot be done by single certification bodies based on the requirement or based on the choice of the buyer. The certification schemes can be done with the help of different certification bodies. The scheme is adaptive and regularly revised. If there is a change in political situation, social, economic, and environmental demands, the certification schemes can be changed, or otherwise we can say the standards criteria can be changed. Certification schemes shall not be very expensive. That means it's vital that the cost-effective and commercially viable tools or the mechanism shall be used while certifying any organization. It is also we can say like prudent that a minimum cost shall be the governing factor whether the certification can be used as local, and it can help in local or adaptive to the locally used tools for sustainable forest management. What are the drivers and limitations of the certification bodies? So you can see the drivers means you do not find any company or any private company, especially the plywood, paper, or any such organization or the unit, they can say that, okay, my product is the best. It's something like, the networking channels, and everybody says that my news is the best. But you cannot have, or you cannot acquire everything from their self-claim. That's why it has to be done from the third party point of view, and the third parties are responsible to provide a claim to the organizations. Environmental groups towards SFM, they are the companies, industries, and the users, and the other stakeholders. They create pressure, or they also work or act as a tool to the certification schemes. That means they are pushing the organizations, the buyers, the manufacturers of big apparel, fashion designings, the furniture industries, the paper manufacturers and all, that they should opt for the sustainable forest management practices. The value chain should also be transparent, as I informed earlier. ESG values in procurement policies means environmental, sustainable, and governance values shall be there in the procurement policies. That creates a competitive system, and with the competition, there is, of course, the competition will help us to get better and the good quality products, certainly not very expensive. Marketing tool, as I told, that the certification itself is a marketing tool, have been used in the market, especially for marketing tool. And it's something like a branding, certification, and on-product labeling. So these tools are used as a marketing strategy. Retailers and users active participation, it's very indeed important, because at the end the products are being used by the end users, and end users are willing to see the logo or the brand on the product. So that's why it's like on-product labeling is there in several certification schemes. And lastly, the transparency, which we have already discussed. Limitations. Now, concerns of certification, it's very, very difficult to explain or to find a way that how the certification schemes can be viable or vital for any certification agency, any consultant, any stakeholder included with the manufacturer or the forest products, the processor like sawmills, the veneer units, the certification organizations, we can say. Firstly, there is a low demand and low consumer awareness. So we are well aware about the tags, whatever we find on the clothes, shoes, and other things. But in case of the furniture industries, it's very, very less aware. Second becomes a low willingness to pay high premium, when you know that the timber products are not very cheap products. They are actually high-end products, and they are very expensive products in terms of the plastic, the so-called alternative means of the products. So wood products or the solid wood products have no incentives directly, and they are actually, we need to pay a high premium to get into, to buy these products. Trade secrecy is like, of course, the timber is like The entire market is not completely organized. Most of the timber industries across the globe are unorganized, and they are not in the process, or they are not willing to share their trade secrets. Limited volume availability is one of the major challenges, especially when we get to know about the requirement. As you guys have already seen that in COVID, a lot of volume availability were being provided. I've been looking into several reports. Before COVID, there used to be showing a lot of, the permutation combinations of demand and supply. But once the COVID started, or once the ban started, the volume availability could be realized, and it was seen that how the volume availability could be reduced, could be estimated. So something like that, when we say no good estimates, meaning before COVID or something like in that section, they sometimes say that these areas have high availability of timber and so forth, but it is not. They could not even provide this kind of information to us. Secondly, the poor forest practices. Yes, the forest management has been a very, very expensive practice actually all across the globe. And that's why, and in my personal experience with close to a decade or plus, more than a decade experience in forest products marketing, or I can say the auditing as well as monitoring of the forest products and the forestry organizations as well as the forestry resources, the forestry practices are very, very limited, especially in the private forest. Yes, sometimes it is done because it has completely and overall has an all, I mean, the how do I call it, as the based on the policies, when we can say that the government does not want to use or practice the forestry practices, except in the private plantations where they have entirely the commercial use of the plantations. Ineffective government policies, like in India, our government policies are pro-conservative, pro-preservative, like that, not preservative, towards preservation only. They does not have, of course, they have the production forestry as a syllabus, but they do not operate, or they do not opt for production forestry. Since 1996, the Honorable Supreme Court has put a ban on the harvesting of the logs above 1,000 the meters from sea level.
Okay.
Yeah, sorry. Hello?
Go on, sir. Go on. Go ahead.
Okay.
Go ahead, sir.
Then there has been the forest-related conflicts over indigenous people's land rights. A lot of challenges here. Let's say we had to have the Tribals Act. We had to enact it in the forceful manner and so forth. And a major challenge now is in Africa or the Latin American side, that a lot of conflicts are there, especially from the indigenous people. I would like to go with the. So as I explained you already, there are some voluntary and regulatory and bilateral treaties. I would like to go with directly with the bilateral, with this voluntary certification scheme. So you see, a system of national and regional standards consists with 10 principles of sustainable forest management. The principles are actually covering all the aspects which we can cover with the help of the tools or the certification schemes or the criteria we would like to put on the plantations or the forest, natural forest, or the forest products manufacturers. So the first one comes as a compliance with laws and FSC principles, meaning the forestry or the forestry resources or the sustainable forest management practices shall comply with all the rules and regulations of the statutory and regulatory requirements of national and international laws, also in line with FSC principles. Second one, we talk about the tenure and use rights and responsibilities, meaning what is the tenure of the forestry concession? When a forest concession is allocated, it has been allocated for, let's say, 10 years or 15 years or 20 years. But do we really follow that? Do the operators or the companies, do they really follow the sustainable forest management practices in that particular year? So that's actually the tenure track, or what we can say tenure and use rights and responsibilities. The third one comes indigenous people's rights, meaning who are living in and outside the forest, or who are the forest dwellers. Do we respect their indigenous rights? Then we can talk about the community relations and workers' rights, the communities associated or dependent on the forest concessions, their relations with the top management or the management and operations of the timber industry, and workers' rights. So maintaining the workers' rights like following the ILO requirements, that's International Labour Organization, that do not allow the children to work below 14 years, do not allow the companies to take advantage of workers, like obligations, or we can say the workers' pity. So these are actually the things which we need to really think of. Regarding the community relations, sometimes when we know that the forest concession has been allocated or allotted to a private company, the private company or for big projects like highway, national highways, the corridors, the stadiums and all. So in that case, we have to take care of the community relations especially. Otherwise, tomorrow the project may fail. The community may pose an objection while or during the process of development of that area. Then comes the benefits from the forest. So we need to make sure that the benefits from the forest should be optimized so that the communities, the company, as well as the government gets their own shares in terms of the taxes to the government, the benefits to the communities, and the returns to the investors or the company itself. Environmental impacts shall be taken due care. So that means we should not be illegally harvest the logs or the timber. We should not be involved in any kind of activity which is detrimental to the environmental impacts. The management plan before operating or during the operations, each company and the operator shall have their own management plan. The management plan can be of different types, such as the 25-year management plan, 5-year management plan, 1-year management plan. Then you can have biodiversity management plan, environment impact assessment management plan, then the complaint resolution management plan, and so forth. So there are a lot of management plans which has to be taken care. One of them is also the certification management plan, meaning if a company wants to go for FSC certification or any certification, they should also have a team who can deal with the certification schemes as well as the requirements. Monitoring and assessment, meaning the certification helps in monitoring and assessment. We can monitor the resources, the extraction of the resources in a legitimate way. The assessment also can be helpful with can be done with the help of different tools, the certification tools, we can say, and the forest can be managed. Maintenance of high conservation value forest. When we talk about natural resources, when we talk about conservation, when we talk about preserving specifically the species such as listed in sites, this plays a vital role. Especially all the sites which have a high conservation value forests have been considered as the hotspot. So in most of the cases where the hotspot have been identified or the areas have been protected in terms of the biodiversity hotspots, in terms of the national parks, in terms of the sanctuaries, in terms of the national parks and so forth, the high conservation value forests are to be retained as such. There is no plantation or the extraction activities conducts in those areas. The plantation management remains the last one, that a plantation has to be managed in sustainable way so that it can be attained as a certification status, and then the forest can be controlled or can be managed effectively. So in overall situation, we can say the forest certification is basically the management of the forest from different angles. The mutual recognition mechanism for national regional certification schemes. This basically is a PEFC, which is basically a program for endorsement of forest certification. It was done in, it was enacted in 1999. So what basically it talks about, it maintains the appropriate enhancement of forest resources and their contribution to the global carbon cycle. Maintenance and enhancement of forest ecosystem health and vitality. Maintenance and encouragement of productive functions of forest, wood and no wood. Maintenance, conservation and appropriate enhancement of biological diversity in forest ecosystems. Maintenance and appropriate enhancement of protective functions in forest management, notably soil and water. Maintenance of socio-economic functions and conditions. Compliance with legal requirements. So these are major, how do we say, the recognitions or the mutual mechanisms whereby the certification schemes can play a role of certifying the forest. There is an interesting thing is the audit. A lot of people know about the audit. Some of them think of that audit is just a fault finding mission. Actually, it is not. So what exactly the audit is, especially I'm talking about the forest certification audits. When you go to the forest, when you go and see that whatever the reason, the area in which you want to go for certification, or you want to go to verify whether the sites have been completely clean, they do not have any illegal activities in the forest, and so forth. So it's basically, the audit process is basically a combination of site visits, interviews, document review, record verifications, etc. Objective evidences are to be collected and recorded. So let's say we want to go in the forest, we want to check whether the timber has been harvested sustainably and it has already received a certification, the harvesting approval. So to go with that, we would like to contact the site manager. We will ask and interview him with some required questions and the requirements or information we would like to gather. Then we do a verification of operations. That means the process to be followed, critical control points. These points are actually from the point of view of controlling the forestry parameters, especially the monitoring. That means where the raw material entering the supply chain, have the raw material being entered into the supply chain has been clearly or segregated properly in the processing unit, whether the certified raw material is mixed with the non-certified raw material. If yes, what precautions or measures has to be considered. If not, we need to also make sure that we verify that the client or organization is telling us the truth. Evaluation of control system implemented with respect to identification, sorting and packing of outgoing materials, evaluation of risk of mixing certified and uncertified material. It's the same thing that if the material is not being certified, whether it's being properly sorted or not. If yes, then where the raw material is being stored, where the mixing happens and how the mixing happens. Evaluation of finished products, segregation and identification of certified products, labeling and dispatch of FSC certified finished goods. That is very clearly to understand that certified raw material cannot be used by the certified material. In other way, you cannot use any product with a mix of certified and uncertified material. And that's why it's very important that if you are going to manufacture 100 or 1,000 logs, you are just going to use those number of logs or the trees to be certified. And the audit process will only conduct the audits in that specific area. In general, audit is not a fault finding mission, but it's a confidence building process. You inform the client that we would like to seek conformances, not non-conformances, but we would like to build confidence in a client or the customer so that to gain self-confidence. Audit findings are not secrets. So at the end of the audit, we disclose the results of the audit what exactly has been identified. It's basically done with the help of open and close meetings. So it's like opening and closing meeting before and after the audit completes. Believe in open communication and openness. It's a vital and very important aspect of the audit, that we make sure that the client is very not friendly but very confident with us, that whatever we are going to ask him, he is going to respond with openness, and the communication shall be open. Maintain business confidentiality. It's very important. We are not supposed to, as an auditor, I'm not saying we, meaning as an auditor, one shall not share any information out of the business to anybody from that particular business, because it's very, very important. Third-party organizations are also the auditors as well as the organization. So they are also the organizations working for their own integrity. So integrity is must, and that one should always respect that. Sampling process. Always the audit is a sampling process. So any finding which is presented through the audit could only be a presentation of trends, meaning if there are 100 pieces or 100 logs harvested in a forest area, you can select 2 or 3 or 5 maximum. And you can, based on those 5 samples, you can conduct the audit from the backward movement, which I will show you a little bit later. Then there could be more problems not identified during the evaluation process, because the audit is actually conducted on the sample basis. So it can be assumed that there might be more problems which have not been identified because the samples we have tested. So if we tested the sample, let's say in the chamber number 1, where the timber is being, has been already harvested and has been kept for drying. So that particular container is mentioning as FSC certified material, meaning if there is a specific requirement of timber can be kept in the certification body, certification facility, that's wonderful. Otherwise, we need to really find and identify whether there can be more challenges in the process. Here the picture as well as this is kind of an case study where I worked with the government of Liberia on behalf of European Union, and I developed a mobile application as well as the web-based application for tracing timber from backward from the export port to the harvesting or the enumeration site. So with this, what we have done, we have used 2 different mechanisms. One is a chain of custody. Most of you must be aware of this. And then the legality verification, which is basically a verification of the legal documentation of the company who's involved in the logging activities. And thirdly, the audit, which is a third party or the second party assessment based on the available data of chain of custody and legality verification or the legal documentation. So what does the chain of custody means? I will show you a couple of pictures and you will understand about how the process works automatically. If you have challenges, we can discuss after the presentation. I think the time is not suiting us. So first is the barcode management. We apply barcode on the trees, and here is the barcode. Just a sec. So here is the barcode. This is a unique alphanumeric barcode, which has unique unique 8-digit alphanumeric code. Suppose in this case, you can see here is in the inverted one, the alpha 185 QHR, like that. So these are this is the 8-digit alphanumeric unique code, which is applied at the bottom of the tree at DBH, at the diameter at breast height. And there are 3 different types of the tags are available in the okay, I was also going through the caution, but okay. The types of the tags, there are 3 tags which we apply on the tree and the log, as well as in the waybill, where the tags are used for the transportation.
Just a minute, sir. Sir, we will take the questions in the last. Okay, sir.
No problem.
So just carry on your presentation.
Yeah. So there are three questions. In this picture, you can see there is a log in which this guy is painting a tag. And if you see, first what we do, we go to the field. We go in the field, we do a preliminary meeting, and we explain the people that what exactly the type of the forest, how do we do it. In the picture in the left, you can see a barcode with the number Alpha Charlie 910 Victor Romeo Extract. And this one is a barcode for a particular company called International Consultant Capital. And this company, this barcode is only being used for this company. So only this company is the owner of that particular barcode, which is to be put at the diameter at breast height or less at the bottom of the tree. Trees with more than 50 centimeter of diameter at breast height are being enumerated. They are categorized based on the map, line, and cell. The species details, estimated height, and the area where this enumeration has been done, which is 1 square kilometer or 100 hectare, has to be captured. This is on the right hand side. The guy is standing behind the peg, which is called as this is a wooden stick in which the four corners can show the block number, which we talk about the block area. Block means 1 square kilometer. So it's 1,000 meter by 1,000 meter. And this entire area, 1 kilometer by 1 kilometer square, this entire area contains a lot of trees inside, and we enumerate the trees based on the 9 cells and the map. So this is the felling or harvesting and extraction. You see on the left hand where I'm scrolling the mouse. So this one is harvesting. The harvesting is being done. The tree is to be harvested somewhere. Sometimes it is to be, most of the time it has to be harvested something like 15 to 20 centimeters or a feet from the ground. But sometimes the challenges in terms of the harvesting, especially in the West African countries or the rainforest. So the trees are harvested way beyond the side. Then the second picture shows the extraction. The logs are harvested. Once the logs are harvested, they are putting up small tags and they are being extracted to the extraction site. This is the extraction site where all the logs are piled up from the harvesting. This is the tag, one of the tags. All the logs have tags. They are being dressed here as per the choice of the buyer. Once the choice of the buyer is complete or the dressing is complete, then the logs are ready for harvesting, the transportation. So once the logs are being dressed, they are ready for loading and transportation. This picture shows the transportation. After the transportation, I would like to just show you a picture or a process of chain of custody, how the chain of custody works. So first, at the forest felling site, what do? We have a tree data form where we capture the tree barcode. What was the barcode on the tree before harvesting? After harvesting, we have a long log barcode and we have a root or the root or stump portion. So this long log barcode is then then cross-cut into the two cross-cuts. So this one being the cross-cut number 1 and cross-cut number 2. These information are again submitted back to the log data form. The log data form is to be filled at the extraction or landing site. And at the extraction site, the entire information related to the log which has been harvested from the forest, inside the forest, has actually been captured. Then if a product or if buyer wants only the crosscut of larger crosscut, then the other crosscut can be used for some other purpose. But this one will go directly to the export port. Then it goes to the log yard. From the log yard, the different barcode, again, this has to be readers. This barcode is to be captured with the new log data form. With the new log data form, the entire application is being used in such a way that the block map, that means the enumeration. So we go from bottom to top, like in the forest concession, we enumerate the trees, we complete the process with the inventory, then we submit the data to the government with the specific forms through the system. And that's, I will show you a screen where the software is there. With the help of the software, this data is submitted for block map verification. After the verification, the forest is being harvested. The forest harvesting certificate is being issued to the country, as far as the company. After harvesting, it is being transported with the help of waybill. Waybill is also being verified at different checkpoints. Then the desired logs can goes to the export. The undesired ones or the ones need for the processing enters into the sawmill, and they are also being verified. After processing, they also become the forest products export for verification and the export port. So meaning at the port, they will be a final product export verification before the product is exported out of the country. This is the software screen where we say Liberty user interface, means it is a public and private homepage where you can sign yourself. So you can register yourself with the system with $1,000 fee. That's close to 75,000 Indian rupees as present closely. So with this application, you can enter into the system. You can have your own device. You can have your own space of the server. So meaning if you get this, enter into the website or this, you have to get registered. Once you register, then you can submit a lot of information in there. It also works as an archive. With this, you can get and collect all the relevant data from your forest to the export. With this, I would like to thank you all for your kind attention, and I'm open for questions, or if you want, I'm over to Nasir now. Thanks.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you. It was really a very knowledgeable.
Thanks.
You have summarized the whole, certification process in just 1 hour. It is really great. So I hope that a participant would have also, liked it, and they have actually the certification subject, sir. Just I want to share you that it is a quite new subject. While we were doing our BSc, we have never studied this forest certification. In 2007, I did my BSc in 2003-2007. So we never studied this subject, but later on it has been introduced to the forestry subject in 2011-12. So it is a quite new subject, and the literature even is very less available with this subject. So I was really finding difficulties in this subject to where to study this, and I have only one. I found only one subject where that is published by Dr. Manmohan Yadavji, and so when that is why I was very much interested in your topic. That yeah, means most of the topic that is general. We can get a many resource person, means many person are working there, but you were since you were working in the field and you have a practical experience. So I was approaching to you, insisting you actually. So thank you very much. So there is some questions. Let me read out. If the participant have any question, please you can approach directly to the Panse sir.
Well, I think
Any
we
question?
can go to the chat. There are 3 questions on the chat. Number 1 was that.
Sir, let me allow
Yes.
the participant first. If they want any question, they can ask you directly. Any question from participants?
Thank you very much, sir. It's really an inspiring session. My question is, what I felt is it is a cost-intensive process totally. So, don't you think that it could be a negative tool for marketing in country like India for the forest resources where the companies are using the forest resources?
See, first, as a forester, I'm not very pro certification guy, to be honest. The reason behind is the concern, especially I'm talking about the country like India. The reason behind in India, very less forestry auditors are there, very, very few. Most of them are commercially or economic oriented. We are not talking about the preservation and conservation aspect, because those areas are completely banned and they are not accessible to us. The second thing is, like, when we say certification, yes, it's a very essential tool for sustainability, is one of the tools for sustainability. We cannot say that once you attain a certification, that means you are sustainable. No, it's just one of the tools for sustainability. So the concern is that, as the Supreme Court has already banned felling of the trees, where certification actually is an economic, the economic aspect is paramount on the other aspects at this time, or in future also. Firstly, when you see the entire forest wood based or entire forest industries were based on the natural forest in the beginning or in past, but today is not. They are completely dependent on the plantations. The plantations are not managed effectively or efficiently. They are poorly managed. You cannot see a fully functional plantation which attains its rotation. No way. We are talking about something that, the tree grows, it attains its maximum height, it attains its maximum age, and we cut it before that. So means if the poplar eucalyptus has been kept for 8 years, which has been mentioned that, okay guys, that it has to be retained for 8 years or 9 years or 10 years, we do not do that. We just harvest in 4 to 5 years. And despite that, we are certifying the companies. So that's why I'm saying in Indian scenario, I'm a bit against with that, because you cannot simply say that. For me as a forester, I would like to see the tree which has already taken the water, the nutrients, the air, the everything from the environment. It should return it back, like carbon sequestration. What does it mean by sequestration then? It has already taken everything from the environment or the natural resources, but it has not given it back to the environment. And that is only possible when we wait until the rotation, which is, I would like to say, on my personal experience, or
Great,
this
sir,
is my
great.
personal opinion also. The second thing is, when we talk about the marketing aspect, certainly it's a marketing aspect. And why it going negative, what we say, that it should not be, it should not be taken as a negative sense, because with the help of the certification, only the foresters has got their importance in the market. Nobody was actually damn caring about you guys. You meaning all of us are foresters here, I think, attending this session. I have provided a lot of lectures in the past. I have been providing trainings to the organizations at, I should not use the word like high profile, but yes, as at the CCF and PCCF level. I have also attended, I've already provided the trainings at country level. We have developed the standards for the country. We are also in process of developing a standard for Government of India. I'm supporting IWST and IPRITI, along with that couple of more organizations. They are interested in the process. I'm open for the supporting the organizations. Like universities, they should come up with their own ideas and the sensitization programs like you are doing it now. Definitely there should be a syllabus, and in the syllabi there definitely should be a certification scheme, because a lot of people are there in the market who does not really know that how the tree is grown or how the seed is sown. So like, these are all the aspects which governs right from the beginning till end, especially in the certification. Indian scenarios is difficult to opt, because they are all pro business centric, you can say, and buyer specific or buyer oriented only. So there is nothing which somebody comes in like a person like us who are foresters, and we can say, wow, we have got a tree and we do not want to harvest it for next 10 years. There are very few people like that. There have been 1700 clients of FSC certification in India. I need to check for PEFC also, but out of the 1700 in 2011, only 700 clients are retained now. 1000 clients have already been our clients, or the companies have already suspended their certification or have been terminated. So this is a scenario that more than 50 or 60% of the forest certification agencies have withdrawn from the certification. Unfortunately, some of the forests have been certified in past. I don't know why they could not survive in the market, because a lot of species had been certified but had no use in terms of marketing. Demand and supply, because marketing does not really work with a conservation or a preservation aspect. But certification do play a vital role in conservation and preservation. I do emphasize it here that certified as well as non-certified timber, there is really a need of certification. Though we consider it as a certification from a second party or third party, I would like to simply say, instead of second or third party, there can be a self-claim. The company can come directly. Let's say you must have seen a lot of advertisements where company come directly and they say that this is the best mechanism, or this is the best product we are having, or this is the best product we are selling in the market, something like that. So as you know that when one of our professors in the post-graduation used to say, foresters are not being required in the market, so you have to blow your own trumpet. So like that, you need to sing your own song and tell the world that you are there, you are also somewhere responsible, you are ready to take care of the responsibilities also. These are actually the certification constraints.
I think.
Thank you very much, sir. Thank you.
Any more questions? Now we can take up, sir, the from.
I think the first one is from FSC. Certification be used for conservation easements. Yes. Only the forestry resources or the forest products are certified who comes from the areas which are not illegally harvested, not overexploited, not harvested from the high conservation value forest, meaning the areas which are having the species of annexed in the sites, we can say directly, the species which are prone to extinct or threatened, the certification is not done in that site. So this is actually, the conservation is one of the we can say the essential requirement of the certification, especially for the forest certifications of the forest management and the forest certification. Second one is where do we stand as a country as far as forest certification is concerned at the global and Asia level. There is no ranking at all, especially in the certification, but very less forest is certified in India because very less forest is actually governed by the private entities. Most of the forests are natural, and natural meaning owned by the government. So it's only a government initiative which has started in 2000, I think in 2001 or 1999, sorry, with the Bhopal India process, which continued until 2009, the 10 years program, which could also not result in the developing a proper framework for the certification. Certainly, yes, there had been the criteria indicators developed for sustainable forest plantations, natural forests as well. And most of the forests are state owned also. If it is not like when we talk about the Republic of India, when we say Indian Republic, so it's so-called Republic, but does not mean that the entire forests are being governed by the center. That means the state are the ones who have the ownership of the forest. So they have to come up with their ideas. Recent update is there, guys. I don't know if you guys are following the news, or there are some groups which I've been in association with, that the Ministry of Environment and Forest has put up their words with the government of India in sensitizing or creating more awareness towards the sustainability, as well as the certification as a tool to certify the forest, and also a mechanism where the private people meaning the model like a PPP model in the degraded and ravine areas where the wastelands are there. Then the tag on the log is paint or sticker. What are the chances of its loss? Oh, okay. Basically, the painting is done. The fact is that it's very relevant caution. It's a completely process which maybe that in some other lectures we can continue, or we can, when we have a chance, we will definitely do that. I'm open for that. what do we do? Generally, they put a tag. After the tag, when they cut the tree, they paint they put the paint, because by chance if the tag is missed, then at least you have the paint. But this is not very important, because the entire process is geo-reference. The mobile application which we have used, we were capturing the data from 13 satellites. So the best satellites provides you the geo-reference data, where you capture the geo-specific, the GPS coordinates, the lat-long position of that particular tree, and you can go anytime for cross-verification of that particular thing. Just an update, I am in the process of developing another application for Government of India, not exactly for Government of India, but for the stakeholders, if people are interested. So that is under the testing phase. We have already completed enumeration, felling, and the transportation of that application, and soon the export, because the Government of India has banned the export of logs. So export has not been considered yet. But a mobile application is under, the application is under development. I want to just update you guys that European Union, not the major shareholder of the import of a lot of raw materials or the products from India, such as timber, palm oil, rubber, beef, milk products, then soya, coffee, and cocoa. These are 6 products which are derived, and soya, of course, I said. So these 6 products are already have been considered in the next phase of regulatory requirement. Presently, European Union timber regulation only covers timber as a product to enter. So you need to comply with all the regulatory requirements before entering into the European Union. You have to conduct a due diligence and the risk assessment before you enter this supply chain in the importation of the product in European Union. Similarly, you have to declare your product as a self-declaration in Lessees Act in in America, which is the backbone of timber industries or the India's growth, we can say, for the past 5 years or upcoming few more years, something like that. But the scenario is completely changing. With the EUTR, it is being replaced by EUDR, which is like EUTR is European Union Timber Regulation, but EUDR is European Union Deforestation Act. So the regulation will be EUDR, European Union Deforestation Regulation, where the forest has been diverted from forestry to the non-forestry purposes like agriculture, farm forestry, plantation forestry, agroforestry, social forestry, and so forth. The projects also. These will be duly considered under the scrutiny of the certification. So certification, or sorry, I can say the regulatory requirement. So that would be a mandatory requirement where geo-referencing is one of the major importance. And considering these things, we have started our own, support system so that I can support the organizations in dealing with their products and the compliance towards the legality and statutory requirements. So I hope we considered, we captured all the questions. Still we got, I think we are over 11:30. So
Great,
what do you know, sir?
You are doing, a great job.
Thank you.
I don't know whether India is following this geotagging for the wood or timbers or not, but you are, doing advanced work in this field. So any more question from the participant side? Is there any? If not, then I think we are about to finish this session. So let me thank you, sir. Let me have you a formal vote of thanks to you, sir. I just want to tell all the participants that you are nowadays in India for a very short span, and still you managed to deliver your lecture in the pre-decided schedule. So I really appreciate for your commitment, sir. And you because I have, I knew that your lecture is very important. I have pursued you like anything. If I pursued it too much, then sorry for that. But I will take your if the participant will request, then maybe I can approach you again for the next lecture for another on another topic. And for this session, I thank you very much, sir, for your so much knowledgeful and holistic lecture of the subject.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Thank you all. Thank you, Nasir. And thanks the university and organizers. I'm always open for communications. You guys can post me text, mail, whatever.
Yes.
You have questions or somebody wants.
If you allow, sir. So if you allow, sir, I can, if the person wants your contact number or email
Sure,
ID,
no
I
worries.
can I share with them?
Yes, yes, yes.
Thank
Please
you.
go ahead. Don't worry.
Thank you, sir.
Even I can share this presentation to circulate across the table. I have no
Please,
problem.
please, sir. Thank you.
Okay. Thanks.
Okay, sir.
Okay,
Thank
bye.
you very much.
Okay,
Now
bye.
I have a message for the participants that our second lecture will start at 3 p.m. Which is on the medicinal plant. So I request you all to please, join us at 3 in the evening. And this session is now we are closing this session. Thank you. Thank you very much.